Hi, welcome. My name is Kimmy, and I started the channel Worth the War. We're also over on a few other platforms. If you're on Instagram or starting TikTok, which I don't love because it's a lot of face stuff like this, but starting TikTok, we're on worththewar.com and also on Twitter. So the purpose of this live is really to kind of spend a couple of minutes just explaining what we're doing with Worth the War, where it's going. We're kind of streamlining a lot of our communities because we want to really limit it down to people who are engaged, who believe that we can make a difference as an organization, really working toward rethinking love and helping to spare hearts is our basic understanding and our basic mission. So why did we start Worth the War? Well, it came out of a personal season of experiencing abuse that entered into my personal family and space. And it's basically the response that came out of all the research and all the work that came into understanding what narcissistic abuse is, what healing and trauma and other issues are, as well as understanding the great value of survivor stories to actually help prevent abuse for other people. And sorry, the lighting's kind of bad. So that's really where it came from. But what happened as I did all that research was really started to understand that we contribute to the vulnerability for abuse by the way we define our relationships and our love. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today and just talk about what's next is streamlining the organizations, bringing on people who believe that we can make a difference by the way that we really define and apply the ideas of love and relationship to our lives. And what we really need are people who are engaged, who want to share it, who want to come and join the other platforms, who want to be part of this movement, which is really the next thing that's coming out is a survey that will be in a couple different places that will give us the data that we need to really pinpoint where the holes are in the way that we think about, we raise and prepare hearts for love and relationship that leave us vulnerable to a lot of abuse and not really understanding and recognize abuse when it enters into our relationship spaces. So we're also working on a book on this topic and a couple others. So that's going to be kind of fun. And we will still be involved here on YouTube, just providing interviews and just thoughts and ideas that might be helpful to people who really think that rethinking love is a great way to help prevent abuse in today's culture. We know that so many people are still experiencing abuse, especially in the teen years. 1 out of 4 will see and experience intimate partner violence in their teen relationship. So I just don't think we're doing a good enough job yet. I hope that if you're here, you agree and that you're willing to follow and join us. So what we're going to kind of talk about in the short term are 3 different ideas of love, and there's many of them that I think do leave us vulnerable. And what we've seen is that sometimes when we can shift those, we can close doors to people who would use love as a weapon. And find ways to actually use love to hurt other people. So the first one is, what is love? To generalize, it's, a lot of people really do pinpoint that most of love is about a feeling that we have. And you could argue that maybe that feeling is more attraction than love. You can come a lot of different ways on that. But the main point is that if it is a feeling, if we define it as a feeling, then essentially we're going to be more likely to see it as a spell, as magical, something we can't let go of, something we have no control over. Those kinds of thoughts are really added into this idea that we don't have a choice in love. So when we think about that, we realize that we might accept behavior that we wouldn't accept otherwise because we call it love. We might accept that they don't keep their word or respond the way that they said they would. We might even expect that they would not listen to our consent or our lack of consent when it comes to intimacy. So these kinds of things are really important that we shift and we understand that if love is rather than a feeling, but instead it's a choice we make to somebody that we're attracted to and that we get to decide what direction it goes, we actually close the door for a lot of that thinking that really allows within us to lower our boundaries of what it means to bring someone who is unhealthy into our life. So that's probably the primary bridge that you would build this idea of rethinking love on. And then when you find them, there's another lie that we believe that when I finally find this person, it's going to be great. It's all going to work out. Well, not necessarily. So we need to really step back and realize if it's a choice, then we could actually choose not to be in that relationship. And if we don't actually make efforts, it will not all work out. And that makes it all the more precious to us. And it also means that we get to decide if it's going to work out. And if it's not coming from the outside like a magical spell, then we actually have the ability to have a lot more control. We won't be at its mercy as much. And the other one is we really do think that when we love someone, somehow we have this magical ability to change them. And sometimes that will make us stay in a situation that's toxic or unhealthy for longer than we normally would because we define it as love. We say it's more loving. And the reality is, there is one universal about being human that we cannot forget, and that is we can't want more for someone than they want for themselves. We can want for them to be bigger people, to be able to be honorable, to know their intentions, to be reliable, all these other things. But if that isn't something they want for themselves, all the so-called love in the world isn't going to do it for them. So things that we are going to interact with continually at Worth the War, so that we can step back and really make sure that we not only prepare the younger hearts in our circle to come through and to be able to have ideas of love that will protect them, help them identify abusive and toxic and narcissistic traits, but also for our very own selves to be able to reevaluate, wow, maybe what I was expecting from love was based on this idea that was really not love at all. So that's really what we're about. It kind of gives you an idea where we're headed with the survey and a book. If you have more interest in the ideas, there's a lot more about the bridge between what we understand about abuse and what we don't understand on Worth the War on Instagram, spelled just like Worth the War here with no spaces. So we'd love to have you join over there. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you for taking the time to pop in and just kind of think about, is love worth the war? And we answer yes to that. Love well or not at all. Take care. Bye-bye.